Speaking of underwear, we do have a note that there was the bra situation where you stole a bra.
I did.
All right. So to me, unfortunately, the pattern of, taking what you need kind of stood out. Can you explain what that was about in October of 24?
I took a bra.
Now, having a write-up for stealing a bra might not seem like the harshest write-up to have when you're up for parole, except if you're locked up for doing just that, for stealing. You see, she was slapped with a 10-year sentence, all suspended but for 45 months, for stealing over $300,000 from an 88-year-old woman with whom she was placed in charge of. She was her trusted caretaker. Now, after stealing that $300,000, she, as I said, took that plea deal of 45 months in prison and now already up for parole. How will the parole board handle this case? Someone who can't help themselves but to steal while in prison. Someone who would know that they're having their parole hearing up sometime soon. Not only that, but this woman, she tells the parole board that she wants to get into nursing when she gets out. You just can't make it up. Anyways, I'll unpack it with more details at the end.
My name is Abigail Wood, inmate number 444082.
Whoa, and now here's present day Mandoo. Sorry to interrupt. I'm only interrupting because 10% of my viewers have seen this parole hearing already. And for those 10%, I want you to know, no, this is not a re-upload. There is a reason that I am bringing you this hearing again, and that is because we are going to see this princess one more time. Now, if you've already seen this hearing, I'll leave a timestamp where you can skip ahead. And for those who haven't seen it, I want to let you know that this is not a, this is not a, what's it called when you ruin things? It's not one of those, because one never knows what an outcome of a hearing could be. It could be that she was granted and then we're going to see her again as a revocation. It could be she was granted, we'll see her again as a rescission. It could be that she's denied, but we're just seeing her get another bite at the apple. So this is not giving away a spoiler. This is not a spoiler. Just know that we will see her one more time. But for now, let's jump in.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Abigail Wood, inmate number 444082. She's serving a sentence of 10 years, suspended after 45 months with 3 years probation for larceny first. As of today, records reflect parole eligibility date of January 17, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan that has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed anger management and is currently in tier 2. Utilizing the women's risk assessment, the offender's overall score for recidivating falls in the range. Ms. Wood, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Thank you. Honorable sirs and madam of the parole board, thank you for this opportunity to stand in front of you today. My name is Abigail Wood and I have served nearly 2 years of a 45-month sentence. While prison is not somewhere I ever expected to be, I am incredibly grateful for this life-changing and life-saving experience, for the time to heal and enter into recovery, and for all the opportunities for growth I've experienced here. I'd like to tell you a bit about my background as an attempt towards understanding how I came to be at York Correctional. I was injured in a 5-story fall while studying abroad in France at age 20. I was prescribed opiates, specifically Oxycontin, to treat my pain. At the time, I was not aware of the strong potential for addiction. I became dependent on opiates and relied on legally acquired prescription medicine. Once I was no longer able to access these, I switched to heroin, which later became fentanyl. Despite being capable of great things and giving amazing opportunities, my addiction led me to make poor choices and resulted in my arrest and eventual incarceration. I recognize that I have made many mistakes that I deeply regret and take full responsibility for. Because my past as an addict was riddled with abuse and the emotional and physical trauma that comes with it, I lived most of my life in fear. Strange as it may seem, I was not even aware of it on a conscious level much of the time. I now understand that was because I covered it up with drugs. I did not value myself. I pretended I was okay with such conviction I actually believed my own lie. I just kept moving. I never wanted to think about what had been done to me, what I had done, or what I was doing. In truth, I never actually made choices. I was on autopilot, never stopping for introspection. If I had, I'm afraid my answer would have been an unworthy, unlovable junkie. For most of my life, I had no self-worth. During that time, my brief periods of sobriety were sporadic, short-lived, and usually brought about to appease others. I would tell people I had an opiate addiction, but not because I truly acknowledged it, but rather to take away the sting of their accusations. Change was not something I believed was a real possibility for me. Having found acceptance inside the spiritual communities, educational classrooms, recovery groups, and creative arts programs here at YCI has enabled me to transform into the woman I have always aspired to be, one of integrity. The healthier I have become, the more opportunities I was given and the more I achieved. I have found purpose and self-respect from my work at the facility, from the food prep warehouse, to the worker in the mental health unit, to the library, and to the tier worker on the geriatric tier. In helping to support other women as they embark on their own journeys of healing and rehabilitation has helped me to discover a purpose and a future. This is the kind of work I'd like to continue to do in the community. My own healing is a direct result of so many others here, women who have showed me kindness, respect, compassion, and support. And it has never been one-sided. It has always been reciprocal rehabilitation. I look forward to walking out of these doors as a changed woman and enrolling in school for a nursing degree to work in addiction medicine. As I've said before, in the past, I was aimless, without plans or goals. Not today. Today, I think about everything I do, everything I have done, and the impact of my choices, words, and actions on others. I think about how I can positively contribute to my community. I do not just think about these things, I am these things. Today I am living, and today I can feel. After having spent far too long known by opiates, I feel for myself and I feel for others. As a result, I can use my own experiences to mentor and teach by example. Unlike my early attempts at sobriety, I now embody and live by the principles I promote. I'm incredibly grateful to each of you for taking the time to speak with me today, allowing me to express my remorse and for giving me this opportunity to apologize. I will always regret not having the ability to personally apologize to Florence and Earl Barnes. I recognize how I hurt and took advantage of Florence's trust in me, and that is something I sincerely regret. I'd like to apologize to my own family who has also suffered, to my community, and to each of you. Though for me, an apology is not enough on its own. Saying I'm sorry should be a commitment to change. Today, I can say I have done that. The woman sitting in front of you is not the same one that came to YCI almost 2 years ago. Today, I am accountable, remorseful, and have worked hard to rehabilitate. During my incarceration, I have gotten to know and love myself. Today, I am completely free of opiates, including methadone. I spent 11 months successfully tapering off methadone and can honestly say I am a completely changed person as a result. I have taken advantage of every opportunity available to me to grow, learn, and especially heal. I completed the Defy Ventures program and won first place in their business pitch competition. I participated in Judy Dorwin's Justice Dance Performance Project. I am currently participating in an intensive outpatient educational program that is Tier 2. Despite it being part of my OAP, I chose to take this program as a continued care plan to better myself. I attend school and have been consistently employed. I faithfully attend Native American Services and their Wellbriety Recovery Group. I understand parole is not a guarantee, but rather a privilege, one that I hope to be granted. I will not allow where I am and where I've been to continue to define me as a woman. I remain steadfast in my recovery and spirituality and support the recovery of those who seek it. I am committed to living a life of service, thus making my life a reflection of second chances. Thank you all for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Wood, for that statement. It was very thoughtful and covered a lot. Uh, what happens here is we've read about the offense.
Mhm.
And we've read what's happened since your incarceration. And what we do is we take a look to see what we want to clarify. And you've done a lot of that for me through your opening remarks. We ask questions and then we talk about your case and give you a decision, okay?
Okay,
So,
just so you know, the video is blinking in and out, so if I'm not making eye contact, it's because I can't see you.
it's blinking in and out. So Kristen have probably heard that.
Yeah, the other way she said we could fix this, we would have to disconnect and reconnect. So to do that, we'd have to call the officer. So
Can you hear us okay when that's happening?
Oh, I can hear you just fine. I just didn't want you to think I was looking elsewhere. But I am looking at the camera, so.
Okay.
It doesn't cut in and out.
Yeah, well, when at the end of your hearing, we'll have the officer do that. We can see you perfectly.
Okay, thank you.
This offense was horrible.
Right.
And you know, you expressed that you understand that.
Mhm.
And I appreciate your apology. I really think that there was sincerity behind it. And that spiral, I know too many people that are close to me that went in that spiral and with Oxy, who are just really incredible people that went down a hole with that and wound up doing things that they normally wouldn't do. You know, so I can appreciate what you said, but as you said, you know, just being sorry isn't enough, right?
Right.
So what I see is that what you have to do is figure out how you bring about change in yourself,
Mhm.
so that this doesn't happen again, and you start becoming a contributor rather than somebody who takes.
Right.
Right. You know, I heard a lot, and I know the programs there at York,
Mhm.
and your engagement in them and the way you talked about them makes me understand that you've really accessed the solution here.
Mhm.
I didn't know that that's what I was going to walk into. Because face value, this offense, you know, it's taking somebody's really their whole financial security, you know.
Right.
So let's just go through a little bit. Tier 2 is in process. When does it finish up?
I believe the ending date is projected at June 2nd.
June 2nd. Okay. And so with that, you still have a couple of months of work to do there. However, there's these other programs that you've been engaged in while you've been there, right?
Right.
So talk to me, what is Wellbriety?
Well, Variety is a recovery group similar to AA or NA, but done through the lens of Native American beliefs or spirituality.
And what did you learn through Wellbriety?
I learned to tell myself the truth, which was a hard thing. And, you know, it's a work in progress, and it's something that I didn't necessarily do all the time. And I've really, I never had a sense of spirituality. I went to church, but it was more rote prayer, not really any thinking behind it. And, you know, it was more like making wishes, honestly. And through Terry and the Native American services, I've really become in touch with my spirituality and believe that there is a bigger purpose for all of this suffering. And I know I am, it's hard to even remember the woman that I was when I came in here, honestly. I know that I have spent 20 years under the fog of opiates, and for the first time, it makes 4 months today that I'm off methadone. And things are just so much different and much better in my life because of that.
That's a really good thing.
Mhm.
You engaged in smart recovery as well.
Yes, I was only able to attend one of those meetings, but I do have a pass for the group. Judy Dorwin meets around the same time, her Justice Dance Performance Project. So that conflicted.
What did you think with your little exposure to that?
It's something that I plan on continuing in the community. I'd really like to engage in IOP and continue to do what.
What do
I'm
you
sorry.
what do you like about smart recovery?
I liked that it was rational. You know, I wasn't able to glean much from the limited exposure I had to it, to be honest. So I can't really speak on that.
Okay, I appreciate your honesty with that. Smart recovery takes like real life situations, and they talk about, actual solutions
Mhm.
that don't involve substances. So it's a good, it's a good program. But thank you for doing that. And you said, have you been to AA and NA meetings in the facility?
I have. When I was in tier 4, I did. I choose to go to Wellbriety as opposed to NA or AA. Just it's a small group, and I've been going there for 2 years, and there's really trust and support among the women there, and I feel heard and seen, and we do help each other. I've had 4 women come to me and tell me they've gotten off methadone as a result of hearing me talk about it and my experiences getting off. So that's felt really amazing to be able to help people like that.
Good. So there were a couple other programs that you'd taken that aren't necessarily addiction related, but Voices. Where did you go with Voices?
Voices is on my OAP, and I have written for 2 years to go into the group, but I am on the waiting list currently.
I'm sorry, I misread my own notes. You're on the wait list for that.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I did complete Defy, and I currently I still participate in Judy Dorwin's Justice Dance Performance Project, which really has given me a voice and helped me learn to speak up for myself. I was shocked that I won the Defy contest. It was really something I put a lot of work into. And if you would have told me a year ago that I would have stood in front of, almost 100 people and been able to engage with the crowd and pitch them my idea, I would have thought you were crazy, but I was able to conquer that fear. And it was a wonderful program to be a part of.
Awesome. That's great. So you have a history or work history as home health aide. And that's where you ran into some trouble here, right?
Correct. And I know in my exit plan with Officer Boisvert, I did say that I would have a potential job to go back to, but that isn't something that I would want to do. I think that I need a fresh start elsewhere.
Okay. But you also want to head into a nursing degree.
Yes,
And you want to work in the recovery related field.
absolutely.
So how do you think you would handle being around the meds that are related to nursing in the substance use related field?
I can tell you I am around them in here. Diverting meds is something I'm sure you know about that happens regularly in the correctional community. And I see people nodding out and sniffing psych meds and different things. And honestly, it's a reminder for me of what I don't want to be. And it makes me so sad that I was like that for so long. So while I recognize that, yes, it seems as though it would be a challenging thing, I am so committed to myself and to how I feel off of opiates that it's really there. I can't say there is no temptation, but I am just in such a better place, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, that I don't foresee it being something that would tempt me. And perhaps I might be more towards the counseling end of addiction medicine and maybe not the nursing. I don't know. I just yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, that's, I wanted to make sure that you thought about,
Mhm.
because detox is a big thing, right?
Right.
And, some meds that you take, some parts of detox deal with meds that people need to be weaned from.
Right.
So it's like, that's, I wanted to make sure that you've thought about where you're going here.
Thank you.
Have you ever, you want to go to your mom out in the woods?
Yeah.
Have you ever been out in recovery in that area of the state?
Yes, I have. I went to 2 programs there, rehabilitation centers, and I'm very familiar with the recovery groups, Mountainside, High Watch. I have many family members, 2 aunts and an uncle, some cousins who all have significant periods of sobriety, who are active in the community, sponsoring. So I do have a great support network. Although I'm an only child, my mother is one of 10, so I have a lot of that are all in my area. I have a lot of first cousins and aunts and uncles, and people who are cheering me on and hoping I do well, who believe in me. So that's very bolstering.
But I mean, that's how you do it,
Right.
right? That's how you do it. And those two places are really good,
Mm-hmm.
especially the prime rib on Saturday night.
At High Watch, yes.
So yeah, so that's good. I'm glad that you're connected like that. It's really important to the transition back into the community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pass it on and see what other board members have questions, okay?
Okay.
Board members office has questions.
Thank you. Good morning. So I'd like to start by congratulating you on no longer being opioid dependent, because that is a very big accomplishment.
Thank you.
In reviewing some of the reports that we read, I did see that you had a series of opportunities for treatment at various locations, you know, Charlotte, Hungerford, Mountainside, Silver Hills, McCall. Why do you think it clicked for you here as opposed to all of those other high-end programs?
You know, I'd never come to jail before, and I never really met my rock bottom. And I certainly did, committing the crime I did and having to come here. And there were no other options for me at that point. So sobriety was my only way of surviving this experience, and I knew that it would better me, that I kind of had to get myself excited to come to prison, if that makes sense. It was something that I was very scared of, that I tried to avoid for a long time and not think about, not really think of the gravity of it. But once I changed my thinking and realized, wow, this is the opportunity of a lifetime to be sober, because, you know, although I know that there are people in here who use, for me, that was never an option. And I am so proud of myself to be off of methadone. It was a long 11 months of tapering, and I certainly was uncomfortable, but the reward is so great. Is just, you know, to wake up every day and to not need anything is amazing, and to wake up happy is even better yet.
So in terms of the injury that you suffered, and the pain that followed that,
Mm-hmm.
is it fair to say that your addiction overcame the necessity of pain management? So you don't have any pain left from those injuries, but the addiction remains.
Correct.
Okay. One of the risks that you identified was Waterbury and people and places. Is that where you were going to get your drugs?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess my other question, just to stay in the treatment arena for a minute, is there's a note in your report that the Tier 4 program was declined, but yet you mentioned that you had been in it. What happened with Tier 4?
So I was in Tier 4 for 3 weeks in September of 2024. At the time, I had been tapering off of methadone, and it was getting to be the last 20 milligrams, which are generally the hardest. So being put in that program, for me, it was far too much stimuli, the lights, the noise, the people. I didn't feel safe, or I didn't feel as though I could safely or sanely come off of methadone in that environment, and coming off of methadone really was my priority. So I chose to decline that programming.
Okay, nope, thank you for the explanation. And the other question I have in terms of everything that transpired in regard to the instant offense was the role of your mother. Was she aware of what you were doing?
No.
At the time?
No.
Okay, because she was quasi working there and taking some of the hours at certain points?
At certain points, if I was going to the market or had a doctor's appointment, something like that, she would help me. And she and Florence were very friendly. They got along. Florence loved her company, so she would stop over in a non-official capacity, I guess, as well. But,
Okay, but
no,
she
she was
didn't
not.
know.
No.
So how did that conversation go when it came to light of people finding out what you were doing?
It was a very upsetting conversation. She didn't really understand the severity or the gravity of it. She it was oblivious to that. Although she was aware I had addiction issues, she did not know how far it had gone.
So she didn't check in with you and ask, knowing you had access to money and credit cards?
No, she didn't.
And is your mother part of the sober community, or has she never had issues?
She is. She has not had a drink in some 10 years and attends meetings. I won't say as much as my aunts are part of the community. She is a part of the community, but on a lesser scale, I would say.
You had referenced the large family that you can rely upon in terms of community support for your own sobriety. But
Right.
what's the other half of the family like? Are there people who are actively using, or are they just going about their lives without any type of substance issues?
So my father's side of the family, I just have my father. His brothers are in Maine and Florida, and I don't really have a connection with them. His own mother is deceased. Today's her birthday, 104 she would be. But my father has been a drinker most of his life. When he found out that I got off methadone, he actually stopped drinking. So he has some 120 days sober, I guess, which I'm very proud of him for. So I do have support from him as well, and his wife.
There is also another note about a janitor job that you held, where it said that you were released without prejudice, and that they noted that it wasn't a good fit due to the high demands and expectations of the unit. What was happening for you at that point?
I was the common area worker in 4 North in the mental health unit, which I loved. I have been in 4 North myself. I've been in the Ferguson gown, and I know how that feels. And I had a lot of empathy for the women who went through there. So honestly, it was sometimes boundaries were hard for me. It was hard for me to say no to certain things. Being asked for an extra pair of underwear, that sort of thing. I struggled with that. Because I felt so much for them, and I had wished someone had been a bit kinder to me, maybe. So that was why I was let go without prejudice.
Okay. And then speaking of underwear, we do have a note that there was the bra situation where you stole a bra.
I did.
All right. So to me, unfortunately, the pattern of, taking what you need kind of stood out. Can you explain what that was about in October of 24?
I took a bra, and although this is not an excuse, at the time commissary had not been selling them for about 6 or 7 months. And it was a serious lack of judgment. I had been so proud to be thought of as a good worker here, and to have the good jobs that I had in 4 North and in food prep and A&D, and I really had never had that perception of being a responsible person. So I was so proud of that. And when I very stupidly took something that didn't belong to me, and I lost that respect, and I saw the way that COs looked at me. It was very sobering, and I realized if I needed another reminder of who I didn't want to be, that was it.
You are trash, Lindsay. You are trash.
So in terms of that, I mean, are you allowed to have your mother send you things? I mean, were there other options at that point instead of taking something that didn't belong to you? I mean, going
No.
6 or 7 months without having an undergarment, I get it, but what were your options?
No, but outside family cannot send things in. I guess I could have traded some commissary, done something like that, asked someone for help. So I guess those would have been my other options.
Is restitution part of anything that you have to do?
No, there is not.
Thank you. I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Board Member Sezeskis.
Thank you. My colleagues have covered most of it. I just had a question about this disciplinary approach to theft of the clothing. Were you working when that took place? Were you working in the facility? Is that how you had access to this?
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's concerning for me because of the nature of your initial crime. And this was later into your incarceration. You've already been, you have already been off of methadone probably at that point. This was.
So that was my last, that when that happened, I was, I was, detoxing from 10 milligrams down. And usually that's the most difficult part. In the past, when I detoxed, I kind of, I have had a break with reality, psychosis, and done things that I don't remember. So I can't say that this is what happened there, but I certainly, my thinking was not as it is now. I was not as clear-minded as I am. I was still.
People are gonna, you've had the criminal arrest, very serious nature and circumstances of this, right? And then, this other incident, not as serious, clearly, right? But it's just a continuation of the same type of behavior, stealing things while you're at work that don't belong to you, So I understand your reasons for it, and you explained that, and I definitely take that into consideration, but it definitely is a little bit of a concern after all of this time. And that was right around the same time that you left Tier 4. It's just a couple things happened right at that same point while you were ending the methadone.
Mhm.
So, okay, that's all I really have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sezeskis. So,
May I say, I don't
Sure.
know if, I have a letter here from Elder Delahanty. I did send it to Officer Boisvert. I don't know if it's something that I read or that you have a copy of.
we have it.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to talk about your case now and give you a decision. Okay.
Okay.
So, Ms. Wood is in for larceny first. That was the theft of a great deal of money, in conjunction with work as home health aide type position. It's very concerning. The place where she was when this was happening, I think we know all too well. Middle of an oxy addiction, just progressed to street drugs to that extent. Decisions are made that normally wouldn't be made if somebody were clean and sober. And I hear and I understand the one ticket that's here. the fact that it's a theft and a theft is, I understand that, but taking an undergarment when families can't send them in, and it's a great deal of time between the opportunity to get one from through normal channels. I'm not providing an excuse, but I just don't see $250,000 and a bra being the same thing. My concern here is the recovery journey, because making a recovery journey from here is really what's going to be the thing that stops recidivism in this case. Ms. Wood has done a great deal when it comes to that. I like very much the spiritual community she's found in Wellbriety. Her openness to doing things, that deal with self-worth, which is something that's a big part of the center core of addiction. She put herself in places that, in terms of employment, that she struggled with. So she removed herself. That's something that's important there. And the reason why I bring that up at this point is, being in a situation and being able to remove yourself because things are something that we can't handle right now. Not saying we can't handle them ever, but we can't handle them right now, So I get taking herself out of the tier worker position. She seeks a degree in nursing, and whether she's going to use that, as she just talked about, with counseling or whatever whatever area it is in the area of addiction and recovery. I think that Ms. Wood would do well to stay with that. I think the way people responded to her in the group, I'm not making any kind of medical judgment here, but the way she's tapered herself, rather than leaning in, she's, she wants to be totally substance free. That's a really important thing. And it's, the way people followed her in that group as she was being honest and about what was going on is important. What she did in Defy and Judy Doran, the two programs down there, are really important. She wants to go to an area of the state with her mom where there are two very good programs that have a lot of meetings in and around that area. It's again an important thing. Having family that's involved in recovery is another very important thing. She rates out low, and she has no criminal history. For me, where I am in this case is that I would support discretionary parole, so that she'd have some time on parole in between her release and her ultimate release on probation. Board members, I perception.
I'm not there yet, although I do believe that Ms. Wood presented much better than I anticipated after reading the files, but the nature and circumstances for me and the $380,000 is significant. And the fact that she hasn't taken voices is a concern for me, because even though the victim at stake here is now deceased, I think any type of violation of vulnerable communities who rely upon caretakers and people to come into their homes in order to maintain their quality of life at their end of life is very serious. I also believe that when we have an intersection of mental health and addiction recovery, that journey that you spoke of can be very fragile. And I would like to see her finish her programs and take voices. And I know that we're looking at June 2nd. I could be convinced to go out that long or do a potential rehear after that point. But I'd like to discuss, the intersection of that June 2nd date and what else could possibly be done with my colleagues.
And my intention as well, I didn't say it, but my intention as well would be to a contingency on the tier 2 program. But
Thank you.
board member Suzaskas.
Yeah, so I do see some value in completing voices, although she presents much better today than I read about. And I was concerned about a lot of things, but she addressed a lot of that. She does seem to recognize the harm that she's caused and has apologized several times about what happened. I would like her to finish voices. I don't know if we gave her contingency finishing tier 2 that she would be able to finish voices before that. I mean, I don't know if that's realistic, if you could even do both of those things at once, I'm not sure, So, but for me, I'm not, she is doing well and is on the right path, but for me, it's gonna be, a rehear or contingency today. So I guess that's where we're at, and we have to kind of figure out where we want to go from here with these dates. We'd like to see her finish this tier 2. I don't know if June 2nd is too far out for us to do a contingency or not.
And she has started it. Do you know, upset voice do you know where we are in terms of how long voices is and
Voices. But I don't know when the next start time is, so it could be soon, it could be.
We really can't control it if we did it rehear in June or July, and then, with the recommendation of completing those things. And at that time, they can determine what to do, but if she doesn't complete voices states tier 2, she'd still be in a good position, I think, at that point,
It's my understanding that a recommendation from this panel carries weight with a
Her
discretionary parole hearing, right?
being placed as a program, like,
Right.
everybody that we've seen, those rehears have, had an opportunity to complete programs.
And she's juggled multiple programs and involvement in order to stay busy. So I think that if that could be a priority, the victimization piece is important.
Yeah, I think so. It's very serious. If we weren't talking about such a serious offense, it would be a little bit different. But you can see how voices. I understand she does apologize and she does recognize the harm, but voices is a little bit more.
okay. So what is it that you'd like to do?
I mean, how long do you think that we need to go? I don't want to make this any longer than it needs to be, for sure. We can take a guess and say June. And I don't know I don't think we can do a contingency on a program that she hasn't started yet, so it
Right.
would have to be a rehear.
So if we're rehearing in June, it's the 3rd week, right? York would be the 3rd week.
She'd be clear of tier 2 at that point.
And she would potentially be well into, if not finished with voices.
That's when the next voices program starts.
Yeah, and then, at that point, we can make a decision too. I don't think that's, she comes back in 2 weeks into voices or 3 weeks into voices. I don't think that's gonna make, we would have to see that hearing,
So we're good with no DRs, tier 2 and voices, finished tier 2.
I agree with that.
Okay, so in regard to Abigail Wood, 444082, I move to deny parole at this time based on inadequate institutional program participation. Is there another reason that you want to use or not. We don't have to.
If we don't have to, I mean, to me, it's linked to the nature and circumstances due to the severity.
And if it wasn't for those two programs, I would be okay, honestly, with her being out today, right? So that's the crux of our.
So inadequate institutional program.
I believe that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so regarding Abigail Wood, 444082, move to deny parole today based upon inadequate institutional program participation. And to rehear this case in June of 2025. And we recommend that you get no further disciplinary reports, that you finish the tier 2 program, and that you complete the Voices program. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. So Ms. Ward, do you understand what we just did?
Yes.
Okay. So there's only one other thing that I'd like you to do.
Mhm.
Reach out to CCAR,
Okay.
recovery coach. Okay, I know you have family and stuff like that out there, and I know it's out there, it's rich with recovery.
Mhm.
In terms of the two programs that you know. But if you have a coach as you go back into the community, they know where a lot of programs like Wellbriety and Dharma and stuff like that are.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, this is here for Abigail Wood and number 444088.
Thank you very much.
That parole board member, Mike Paul, he is nuts. How many times do I have to say it? But to think that he's on the parole board, he literally is blind to the reality of what's happening. He is making excuses for a thief. He is saying, well, I understand why she would steal a bra. Are you kidding me? This is not normal. My God. He's a parole board member. You know what he did before he was a parole board member? He taught history in middle school. Probably a great middle school history teacher, but a complete nut job when it comes to a parole board member. Dangerous. I think it's great that you're going to be a nurse. Are you kidding me? I wonder if she'd even be allowed to be a nurse. She literally stole $380,000 or something? 340 grand? From an 88-year-old person who she was in charge of? And then while she's in prison, when she knows that her parole hearing is going to be coming up just months before her parole hearing, she steals a bra? Because of her job, she is able to do that? I know in prison they don't take kindly to thieves. But imagine a parole board member justifying it. And then the reason she gives, well, I don't know, they stopped selling bras for 7 months and I really need BS. You know, this is one of the things about like Louisiana, how they have like the warden or assistant warden there in the room with them, because you could just say, hey, warden, what's wrong with the commissary? You're not selling bras? We got supply chain issues? And they want to be like, nope, it's not true. She's just a klepto. She steals. And you know, if you listen to the entire parole hearing, everything that she did, once your eyes are open, your ears are open, you know what she did. All I saw was a professional gaslighter, if not pathological liar. I'm not diagnosing, I'm just speculating on what we saw. Everything had an excuse. Everything had a smile. Everything was like caricatured for the moment. And it was really nuts. It was bad. And Paul, this interviewer, he says it's not such a big deal that she stole. He brought it down from the 340 grand that she stole to like 230 grand. Oh, we can't compare the two. Oh, I think it's great that she's going to go to nursing. Oh, I think it's great that she took herself out of that situation. Oh, I think it's great of everything that she's doing. Why can't you take a step back and say, wait a minute, we have someone who is a manipulative liar on here, who is dangerous, who steals from the elderly. Just because this is her first felony on record doesn't mean that she hasn't done it before. It means it's the first time she's caught. Who gets caught on their first time, Mike Paul? I don't know, I'm just speculating. We don't know. Of course, her record only says she was caught once and then caught again in prison. But then to be okay with her becoming a nurse, to do two things that she claimed. One is she claims she's an addict. Two is that she's going to be working with the elderly. I mean, most likely that's what's going to happen, right? Who's going to stop it? And again, felons even become nurses. This entire hearing was so shocking, so disturbing, and I think so clear to anyone who doesn't have a PhD, to anyone who's not a parole board member, to anyone who doesn't work in DOC or government, that she is a maniacal, manipulative klepto. Just my opinion. I mean, it is in her record. She gets sent to prison for stealing, and then she gets a write-up for stealing in prison. You know, there's another thing I caught when she talks about, what was it, her grandmother? My grandmother passed away. Today she would be 104 years old. And it's like, I just like, who the hell says that? And what went through my mind was someone who says that is someone who's been using the excuse that her grandmother passed away for like the past 20 years. And then she's realized that every year she would have to progress the age. You know, she probably realized that excuse was good for like a minute. And then a year later, she'd have to say, my grandmother passed away and she'd be 86 this year. And then it turned to 87 and then 88. And then the decades tick by and now she's up to 104. I mean, like, really, that's like, it's just the classic excuse. And the whole I think, oh, she was let go of her job without prejudice because of this. And it's like, guys, come on. It was, you know, she goes in the speech. This is so funny. She gives the speech about after she's caught stealing the bra, and she says it was such a. She goes into, she can turn the waterworks on. Amber Heard should take acting lessons from her. She can turn it on. I mean, how many times she's turned it on, right? Without ever, you know, it is quite impressive. And then she says it was. So they ask us, was it like with the getting caught stealing the bra? It was a sobering moment to have the CEOs look at me like that, and I needed it. It's like, you're in prison. You're supposed to be at your low right now. It's a sobering moment for the COs to look at you like that. What about when you were sentenced to prison? What are you saying? I feel like I lose brain cells watching these hearings. Only, at least two of the parole board members were disgusted by it. At least that, if this was Iowa, they would all be like, "Yeah, that's a great hearing. You're doing that's a great hearing." And we'll see her back in June. I'm recording this in March. Thank you, Holly, for calling out this hearing. We'll be back in June. Let's see if she can hold herself back for just another 2.5 months or whatever without stealing something. You think she has it in her? I'm not convinced she does. I don't think she can control herself. Written May 3rd, 2021. Woman, Sharon, is facing multiple charges for allegedly stealing in excess of $340,000 from an elderly woman. Police said they received a phone call in June 2020, reported larceny involving an elderly woman, one of her caretakers. How did she even get in that job as a caretaker? Officers respond to the home of the caller, who told officers he had power of attorney, the elderly woman. How does she not have to pay restitution? I want to know. And what do you do with $304? That is a lot of money. He told officers that he contacted the victim's financial advisor, who said that, and remember, this would also only be traceable amount of money. This would be the cash that the accountant was able to see, right? Right? He told officers that he was contacted by the victim's financial advisor, who said a large amount of her money was being spent on health care related costs, with checks written to one of her caretakers. Police identify the caretaker as 37-year-old Abigail Wood. Even her name, I bet you she spoke with a British accent while she had her job. Police began to investigate Wood's spending the victim's money and found several. According to the affidavit, one statement showed that the transactions were made to Chewy, even though the victim does not own a pet. Oh, to Chewy. I wonder what her excuse was for that. Oh, she said, don't be silly. It's for her molars, so she can chewy better. I just imagine she reminds me of this classic con artist because she could put on the look. She could put on the cute little thing, Wood has turned herself into B Troop and was charged with larceny in the first degree, identity theft, first degree, forgery, third degree, blah, blah, blah. On 500 and present day Mandoo back. And I gotta say, I still agree with the old Mandoo. What do you prefer though, while we're here, before we read through the comments to hear what y'all thought about this hearing, before we go and watch hearing number 2 to see how our little princess did. And before we watch it, I do want you to let me know in the comment section if you think she's gonna hit it out of the park and get paroled, or if she's, I don't know, got a write-up within like a moment of walking out of that parole hearing to begin with. But yeah, what do you prefer? The beard, not the beard? What do you guys think? I don't know. You tell me. Anyways, okay. Let's go read these comments. And you know what's interesting? I don't know how the algorithm works. I've given up trying to guess how the algorithm works in with YouTube, because like 10% of you saw this hearing. I thought it was a good hearing, but like 90% of you still haven't seen it up until now, which is just crazy. Anyways, I just want to see you find a parole you agree with. Reminds me of a statement that a very compassionate man said. He that is without sin cast the first stone. I know it's rough, but I couldn't cast that stone. So I just want to let you know, I have not read these statements yet. I'm not picking the order. I'm seeing this for the first time. And hey, if you've seen this channel enough, you will know that I do agree with some parole hearings. I do want to make another point. I cover, I don't know, probably have covered 6,000 parole hearings in my both channels combined, but I don't publish. I watch way more than that, right? On any docket, any given day, there could be 30 parole hearings. I am publishing the ones that piss me off. Let's keep that in mind. I publish the ones where I need to vent, where I need to expose how insane it is. If there is some boring parole hearing of like, and it just doesn't get, I'm not going to publish it. So I do publish ones I agree with, if you've seen enough. But yeah, usually it's going to be ones that piss me off because they make no sense. Second, do you really think that she should have gotten paroled? Really? Come on, dude. Really? Ellie? Maybe you're a lady? I don't like what? This has nothing to do with casting first stone. See, using that statement, it's so we're allowed to have an opinion. We're allowed to say that, wait, if she is in prison for stealing, and while she's in prison, she steals, you think she should get paroled? Hello? Really? It doesn't make a difference how messed up I am, how many stones I like. That's irrelevant. That's a cop-out. I appreciate you being here and commenting, but it's such a virtue signaling statement that it really doesn't even, it's just like my mind explodes trying to have to answer to it. Just, like, what are you saying? Using that logic, nobody would ever be able to critique anybody. Okay. We would just have chaos. We would have a world of chaos. I'll still give you a heart. I appreciate you sharing your 2 cents. No restitution. I agree. What is it with the no restitution? It's the agenda-driven, pathetic district attorneys and judges. Unless she was lying. I don't know. Dude, you need to educate yourself on things you rant about. Prison is punishment, but they also want to rehabilitate, and this is to protect the community and prevent recidivism. You rant and rave about people in the most ignorant and judgmental manner. You go on and on. These are professionals. They have actual experience and they know what they're doing, and you do not. Oh, I love this comment. Let's go. Why don't you educate yourself instead of rambling
so that people want to listen to you after the videos, so that people want to listen to me. Okay, that's why we've reached 100,000 subscribers in 2 years, because people don't want to listen to me. Okay. Don't go on bashing people, because honestly, I can tell that you have never experienced the trauma and circumstances that really do contribute to these offenses. You're very judgmental and ignorant, and it's very distasteful. You should be capable of following a hearing with educational information and should be able to do it in an appropriate professional manner. I have a feeling that Megan has a PhD over here. I should call you doctor. Doctor, we're about to watch your follow-up hearing, doctor. I wonder what's going to happen in this follow-up hearing. I wonder what she did during the time that she knew she had to be perfect before her next parole hearing. I wonder if it was just me being, what was it, over judgmental and not understanding the educated parole board and being, this is, again, more virtue signaling insanity. There are a small percentage of the world that believe what you think. And look, we're not an echo chamber. That's the most important thing to know about YouTube. We are not an echo chamber, and I'm open to these comments. I'm not going to delete it, and it's all for anyone to see and agree on. And there are comments that I read that I say, you know what, you're right. I was wrong in that case, but this, no. You see, if we all believed like this, then we would continue with the status quo. If we all continue to believe that, well, the parole boards, they're professionals. They know better. Like Mike Pohl, you know what's in his resume? He was a middle school history teacher for his entire life. That's how professional he is. That's how qualified of a man he is. You know what's interesting is that I am absolutely not a professional. I will never say I'm a professional. You'll never see me get up there and say an expert, like what you'll have CNN or Fox News bring up their expert to talk about, well, yes, that man did this because he was all blah, blah, blah. And it's like there's a reason they're all failing with their pathetic experts. No, the public is sick and tired of professionals and experts telling us how we should feel and believe and what we should do and know. We're sick and tired of it. It's very clear. It's very simple. It's so simple. You are in prison for stealing, and you steal while you are in prison. You are not rehabilitated. You are not ready to get out. You are a you have a problem, and back in the community, you will continue to cause pain and damage. And it's about, people like, where's your empathy, Mandoo? Where's your compassion? And it's such a simple answer. If you are ever asked that, whoa, my empathy is for the victims. What was it? I just saw it on Twitter the other day. Twitter, yeah, I know. I'm just like, but it was someone said a quote. Oh gosh, it was a good one. Something about having empathy for. Oh god, I can't remember it. It was a good one. Something about having empathy for the. It was along those lines. But let me see what else. What else did this say? I just want to address some more points on this. So here's another funny thing. Okay, let's see. Rant about prison is punishment, but they also want to rehabilitate. So prison is actually for three things, and Mr. Roche says this all the time. It's for retribution, which is punishment. You're right. It's for rehabilitation, but it's also to protect the community. So you missed that part. It's about protecting future victims. And if you can't, in your best interest, right before a parole hearing, not steal, then chances are when you're out in the community, you will steal. So there's a very simple answer to that. You go on and on. These professionals have actual experience. Well, we've addressed that. Mike Pohl's experience is quite immense. And so you should know I probably watched 20,000 parole hearings over the past, like if you look at all, not the parole hearings I've covered, but just watched. So I probably am in the top 1% of seeing parole hearings. I think it would put me on I've seen more parole hearings than the Iowa Parole Board itself. Wouldn't you? I don't know if you've seen those parole hearings. You know, these parole board members are nuts. Oh, yeah, I'm sure Tillis is more qualified than me. I'm sure Mike Pohl is more qualified than me. Oh, I'm not a clown. You're a nice person. I'm just saying, like, in general, clowns are cool. Educate yourself instead of rambling. People listen to you after the videos because honestly, I tell you that you haven't. I can honestly tell that you have never experienced a trauma and circumstances that really do contribute to these offenses. So the doctor just finished talking about how I'm judgmental. But now, without knowing anything about my story, is being judgmental, saying I have never experienced traumas and circumstances, which is funny because as a high school dropout in the 10th grade, as someone who never had a passing report card, as someone who's moved around to many different states, had problems making friendships, had never knew what it was like to pass a test in my entire life, hasn't had life experiences or trauma. Okay. Look who's being judgmental now. I've had my fair share of life experiences. Let's put it that way. All right, let's go to the next comment. I've given enough to the doctor. 129, immediately in, and I'm shaking my head in disgust. Harming and taking advantage of little ones and elderly are the worst crime against humanity, in my opinion. And then she has stolen over $300,000 and needs to steal a damn bra. Come on, man. She's entitled and have issues. These are the only two things that have ever been caught stealing, but she's been stealing her entire life. I guarantee you, I agree with that 100%. You never are caught the first time, so that's absolutely insane. Methadone in prison. I do want to address this. And by the way, anyone who doesn't want to listen to me comment, I totally get it. I don't like, my wife would agree with a lot of you on that too. Okay. So the thing is, it's like, you don't need to listen to me. I talk at the end of the hearing. I leave timestamps now. I not used to, but I took advice from you. That was one of the feedback I used to get. People, why don't you leave timestamps? I leave it now. You see, I listen, and you can just skip over me. Y'all can skip over to the next hearing, not listen to any of this. So, like, when you go out of your way to say, you're so judgmental and how could you learn this? Like, you don't even need, like, what? Okay. All right. Methadone in prison. This is something that methadone, I think it can be a great thing. There are a lot of you watching this that are on it. I see it in the comment section because I have asked the same thing, and I'll see you respond, no, it's a great thing. It saved me. Here's the thing. I agree with you. It's a great thing. It saves a lot of you. But imagine this. You go to prison and you're given a 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, whatever it is. You're there for a few years and you get out and you're still hooked on methadone. That is one thing and one thing only. It is big pharma creating forever customers. Forever customers is also something that's on the comment section from someone. Forever customers. It is big pharma making contracts with prison to make a ton of money in prison. They're making a ton of money giving it to all their customers, and those customers come out hooked. That is insane. That is 100% insane. Okay, they say cigarettes is one of the most addictive things that you can be. People go into prison, and guess what? They're not smoking their cigarettes. Although in Connecticut they give them vapes, so it's a different story. But there's no problem unhooking people from that. But when it comes to methadone, no, it's an illness. Yes, you could have methadone while in prison to help you wean off of it, but by the time you're on month 6 or year 9, you should be off. And if you can't accomplish that one thing from prison, becoming truly sober, prison's not working. And why is it like this? For one reason and one reason only: money. Follow the money and follow the lobbyists and follow big pharma. And yes, it's madness. It's anybody who's not a PhD, like our doctor before, would know that this is absolutely insane. And no, we don't need to trust the professionals. They are professional. Okay, debate me on this. Imagine if you had an addiction, you went to prison, you wouldn't want to go out sober, or you want to go out hooked as a forever customer. Okay. You want your kid to go in, you want your kid to come out sober or hooked as a forever. What would you want for your child? All right. This guy, I like this guy, but I think sometimes this guy thinks, oh, here's another, I like this. Sometimes he thinks He knows more than the people who are chosen to be the state hear parole cases. Just because he's convinced of a person's character and that the board is wrong, he yells and wiggles around. We all have our own opinions, but I don't value his above the members of the board. Well, hey, you are, you said you're allowed your piece. You said your piece. The crazy thing is that when you watch enough of these, you start to realize, and I started, by the way, being it was different. If you watch my earlier parole hearings, I was always projecting myself onto the inmates. I was rooting for them unless they were chomos or something horribly bad. I always thought, and then you start to realize that most of the people locked up in prison, they are antisocial. They have serious, they're not they are like the 1% or the 2%. There's something wrong. Their brains are wired differently. And until you can start to understand that, it's not all of them, but it's most of them. And we're about to find out because we're going to go and see her next parole hearing. Let's see who was right, me or the parole board. I don't know. We're going to find out. I'll give you a heart. You said it nicely. Okay. Got to read the comments on the first one from my good countrymen. Wow, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean by this. Okay. Getting off of the don't know is no joke. I hear you. It is no joke. But if you're in prison and you got nothing else to do, you can do it. The fake crying just tells you. I agree. Thank you, Mandoo. Love your reaction. I think she will steal again. No remorse and trying to play the victim. Let's find out. I'm not convinced. Neither am I. This guy talks too slow. I don't know if this guy is me or Mike Paul. I'm guessing Mike Paul. Couple of things. Even though the victim passed away, the family probably needs that inheritance. Another thing, 4 months of methadone isn't nearly enough clean time. 90% chance to relapse, at least taking from experience. 39 years recovery community. Good job. 39 years. See, there we go. That's a pro. All right. Mandoo, seeing you get so frustrated is so hilarious. Not making fun at all. I just love it. Oh, this is good. I watch you every day, and by yelling at the screen constantly, and I be yelling at the screen constantly, keep him coming, Mandoo. Oh, and crew. I was woe during if they had parole hearings everywhere else in other states other that we could see. I hate Utah parole hearings. I literally refuse to watch them because of the injustice. I like this, Jennifer. That was funny. Yeah, some of us look. I find this very therapeutic because I do yell at the screen when I listen to it in my car or not here, and then I'm able to come here and vent. And I believe that many of you are venting with me when you hear me yelling is therapeutic. If I didn't have this outlet where I could vent with you, and I imagine if you didn't have the outlet where you can vent with me, it would be too difficult to continue watching these. Utah stopped letting us record their hearings. I still have several thousand in my database that I haven't shown you yet. If you guys want me to, I can. But yeah, Utah can be frustrating. Iowa is the most frustrating for me. But I'm thinking of doing some Utahs again. I like the certain Utah hearings, while others are just crazy. But okay, I don't know. You're too hard on a woman that was woke up in sobriety. They know she has more to do because of her crime, but also recognize that how hard she worked to overcome addiction. They denied her reason. Prison should be rehabilitation. It shouldn't be to treat people horribly. I agree. It shouldn't be to treat people horribly. But again, when you watch enough of these, you begin to realize who is lying and not ready and trying to manipulate, and that's her. She's not ready, but hey, we're about to find out. 5403. The worst thing that you can do for someone is release them before they're ready, because they'll only end up back with a longer sentence. These parole board members really believe these stupid programs change people's lives. It's a joke. They act like these programs are sent from God and will reform everyone who takes them. Oh my God, these programs aren't changing anyone. It's the length of time that's going to change some of the none heads. And then these parole boards ruin by letting people out way too early, making the judge and jury look like dumbasses. I sadly agree. I think that think about this too. It's not like you're taking a program with a group of, it's like, imagine who's in the room with you taking the programs, and imagine the person who's teaching the programs. In many of the cases, it's inmates themselves that are teaching them. Just think about what that's like. like again, don't just project on what the beautiful experience. You could go to a retreat with all the money in the world and pay someone to lecture you on how to better yourselves, and chances are you still won't better yourself from it. The best teacher and the best experience with the best lattes, but now here you are in prison just waiting for your next meal or your next, whatever, rec, so that you can, and you're here with this guy and that guy, the all the troublemakers of the trouble. Like, yeah, you're really going to go get you're going to learn how to be a better dad from this program, or you're going to learn to not offend against little ones or not steal. It's crazy. You can't read. It's like, I had to take opioids for years because of injuries and a car accident, but I had never stolen a nickel. Good for you. The narcotics made me do it. Defense generally ring. Well, I mean, look, I do get it. I do get that if you're really narcotic, you're gonna steal. Like, that's just the way it is. But if you manage not to, man, good for you. Maybe you always had a job. I know exactly how she feels. I hate myself too. Oh, come on. The thing is, I don't think she hates herself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Okay, how do these people not realize the BSing these people does not ever work? They've listened to thousands of inmates trying to tell them what they want to hear. They have been extensively trained and prepared for this. Tell them the truth. They ain't buying the crap you all see. I do wonder how extensively trained they've been, but I mean, I'll give you a heart. Oh my God. Is this her thesis? That's funny. I love that she managed to get off methadone. It's a great accomplishment. I just hope that in a non-controlled environment, she'll keep the same in another. Well, let's see. I think it's great too, but people of all the time, in fact, some of the best nurses are recovering addicts because they know what they're looking for when somebody else is in their room. The addiction, this is misconception now that someone who has been through addiction, I don't know if I agree with this whole thing, but it is a nice comment. College education by testing out, be able to answer, looking through it. Cool, of course, you have to take classes managing emotions, free of any narcotics, drama cases, 4 years, and you even get a chance that maybe you have a counselor. You take your, what are you saying? Enough. You have so much to lose. Most people, they're not interested in losing. You fought for a lot. I know I did what? I don't know. I don't know what I just read here. I'll give you a heart. I like hearts. I mean, look, I think that anyone who steals from the elderly shouldn't become a nurse who might nurse elderly people. That's my point. It's not so much about the narcotics. It's the idea that she took advantage of an older person. Okay. What to do with 340K? Dude, why not ask a big YouTuber what they do with 340K? Plus, just write down your expenses for a year and divide it and see how long 340K lasts. I don't get it. What do you think you should do with 340K? I mean, it'd be hard to blow through 340K being single without children and having a job. Okay, this ear piercing beyond the torture. Thank you, Mandoo. You're welcome. Where did he go? Oh no, where did he go? Sometimes YouTube pops around. There we go. Joyce, forever longtime subscriber. Coming from a recovering addict myself, I can tell you that this lovely lady is trifling, and there's a long, treacherous road ahead of her and anyone associated. Here is a pro talking. Whoops, I was not. Let's see if this pro is right. You see, someone with experience. I have almost 10 years sober, and with the assistance of narcotics court, I wonder if you had drug Marabella. College and got a degree in alcohol and drug studies. Graduated in 2018. I have had to have a background studies done for employment detox or treatment center, and I am disqualified every time for a $12 theft from 2013. I had to appeal and request that my conviction is set aside so that they may be realistic about future career, because she could go to school for nursing addiction studies, but when it comes to passing background study for clinical to work law, that theft is going to be an issue for a very long time. Well, good for you on getting all of your accomplishments. And I would just answer to that. Let's see, there are replies. Is go see if you can get your record expunged. In Connecticut, they hand out expungements like hotcakes. Depends on the state. Not all states in America do record expungements. Well done in sobriety. 10 years is an unbelievable achievement. This is a response. Okay. Okay. All right. I think I think that I do want to go through a lot more, but I can already tell I'm boring myself, and we're 24 minutes in. I doubt so many of you are still here, you know. So let's go see how well she did. Do you think she did well? Do you think that I'm wrong? Do you think that there are rocks and glass houses, whatever? Okay, let's go.
Abigail Wood, inmate number 444082.
Thank you. The hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Abigail Wood, inmate number 444-082. This serving a sentence of 10 years suspended after 45 months with 3 years probation for larceny first. As of today, records reflect full eligibility date of January 22nd, 2025. There is no victim input in the case. There is an offender accountability plan. It has been reviewed and chosen. She has completed anger management and is currently in the Tier 2 program. Utilizing the Women's Rights Needs Assessment, one of the offender's overall score for recidivating falls within the low rank. Ms. Wood, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Thank you. Honorable Sir and Madams of the Parole Board, thank you for this opportunity to stand in front of you today. My name is Abigail Wood, and I have served 25 months of a 45-month sentence. While prison is not somewhere I ever expected to be, I am incredibly grateful for this life-saving and life-changing experience, for the time to heal and enter into recovery, and for all the opportunities for growth I've experienced here. I guess I'd just like to tell you a little bit about my background, maybe as an attempt towards understanding how I came to be here. When I was in college in France at age 20, I was injured in a 5-story fall and was prescribed opiates, specifically OxyContin, which I was not aware of the strong potential for addiction and subsequently became opiate dependent. From legally acquired prescription opiates, it turned into heroin and eventually fentanyl. Despite being capable of great things and giving amazing opportunities, my addiction led me to make poor choices and resulted in my arrest and eventual incarceration. I do recognize I've made many mistakes that I deeply regret and take full accountability for. I am incredibly grateful to each of you for taking the time to speak with me today, allowing me to express my remorse and for giving me this opportunity to apologize. I will always regret not having the ability to personally apologize to Florence and Earl Barnes. I recognize how I hurt and took advantage of Florence's trust in me, and that is something I sincerely regret. I'd like to apologize to my own family who has also suffered, to my community, and to each of you. Though for me, an apology is not enough on its own. Saying I'm sorry should be a commitment to change. I can say I have done that. The woman standing in front of you today is not the same woman that came to YCI 2 years ago. Today, I am accountable, sincerely remorseful, and have worked hard to rehabilitate. During my incarceration, I have gotten to know and love myself. Today, I am completely free of opiates, including methadone. I spent 11 months successfully tapering off methadone and can honestly say I am completely changed as a result. I have taken advantage of every opportunity to me to grow, learn, and especially heal. I completed the Defy Ventures program and won first place in their business pitch competition. I participated in Judy Dorwin's dance performance project. I participated in the intensive outpatient program known as Tier 2. We just completed, and we get our certificates on Monday. I attend school and have been consistently employed. I faithfully attend Native American Services and the Wellbriety Recovery Group. I do understand parole is not a guarantee, but rather a privilege, one that I hope to be granted. I will not allow where I am and where I've been to continue to define me as a woman. I remain steadfast in my recovery and spirituality, and I am committed to living a life of service, thus making my life a reflection of second chances. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your statement, Ms. Wood. I have to ask my colleagues, did I mess up the order here? Who started that last one?
You did. You want to go with me? You can. If you want to go with Deb, you can. It's up to you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, sorry about that. I did. I messed up the order. All right, we have questions for you. And when we're done with our
Okay.
questions, we're going to deliberate and give you our decision. We'll begin the questioning with my colleague, Ms. Smith Palmieri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Ms. Wood, this is a rehear for you. You were before the panel in March 2025, so a little over a year ago.
It was
and-
actually 3 months ago.
Right, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry about
Yeah.
that. I'm
That's
off
okay.
on my dates. So 3 months ago, and what did the panel ask you to do?
They asked me to complete the tier 2 program and to do voices. I am still on the wait list for voices. They also asked that I not receive any disciplinary DRs, and I did. So that's something I would definitely like to talk about.
Yeah, and we also would like you to talk about that. I am
Okay.
going to say, put on for the record, you did finish tier 2.
Yes.
You got I don't think we've seen the evaluation for that yet, but you finished it. And you did also anger management.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I did note that you had fair for attendance, but there is a note that was beyond your control.
I was having gallbladder surgery at the time, so I had many Yukon appointments.
Okay.
That's why.
But otherwise, the evaluation was excellent and you did well. Your release plan has not changed. You want to still go and live with your mom,
Yes.
right? Okay. And you've noted several things that you'll be doing in terms of relapse prevention and to maintain your sobriety in the community. So I can probably speak for the panel. We're all very concerned about that disciplinary ticket, especially
Right.
since your larceny is directly related to your substance abuse.
Correct.
And this is a contraband ticket, which we take very, very seriously.
So I did get the ticket 6 days after my last hearing. And I can tell you that I had been threatened and bullied to do this for an individual for some time and had always declined. I can say that, in reflection, I realized that I was pretty down and feeling pretty defeated that I was denied parole, and this kind of led me to think that that they didn't see the changes in me, and I kind of, for lack of a better word, excuse my French, but I had a case of the fuckets, and I agreed to carry this package for someone, and I take a full accountability for that. But I've dealing with tier 2, I've really learned how to deal with negative emotions better. And I think in the past, of course, in active addiction, my first reaction would have been to use my contraband ticket was not for personal use. I want to make that clear. But I've learned about handling negative emotions, the rational emotive behavioral therapy, challenging irrational beliefs, learning about external, internal sensory triggers and how to diffuse them through thought-stopping visualization and urge surfing. So the tier 2 program really has opened my eyes to some of the things that I was struggling with, and I feel really changed as a result.
Right. It is one of those tickets that it is difficult for us to understand how you could allow yourself to get involved in such a serious, drugs in the prison is the worst of the worst, right? So many people are addicted. So many people are trying to maintain their sobriety. And that is just, it creates victims within your own community inside the facility. I do appreciate that you did tier 4. I did read through the first interview. and all the information that was presented at the initial hearing.
Mhm.
Is there restitution in your case when you go out to probation?
There is not.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Smith Palmieri. Ms. Wood, it's particularly concerning when these types of offenses are committed against such a vulnerable elderly population. Do you have any idea the impact, negative impact that you had on this person's life?
I absolutely do. I can tell you that she was moved to a nursing home as a result of my crime, and she died there. So that is something that I live with every day, and I know those were not her wishes.
Right. Very sad. I mean, everyone deserves to die in their own home. And you, I mean, you want to stay in the field, you know. Go ahead.
That really is not something I've really been thinking about this. It's I think that my future would really, I feel as though having experienced addiction for 20 years that I could really be of service and help maybe in the counseling field and addiction medicine, not in caretaking.
Yeah,
That's not
I don't
something
even
I
know
would.
how you were caring for an elderly person when you're using drugs all the time. How did you even do that?
I was a functioning addict, of course, but
Yeah, but it's not very safe for your
Right.
clients, patients. I mean, you're responsible for their well-being.
correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's a major betrayal to the trust of the entire industry and our communities. How did you benefit from carrying those pills for another inmate?
I didn't.
What do you mean? You gained nothing from it? No money, no commissary, no drugs?
No, I had been. It was sort of that, or I had been threatened to do it, and.
But you said you'd been bullied for a while and you're still here. So obviously you found a way to get around that bullying.
There was no personal gain for me in that transaction.
Wow. Okay. It's very concerning to hear you say you had the case of I'm not going to repeat it, but you just didn't care because your parole was denied. I mean, things are going to happen in life, right?
Correct.
Bad things happen to all of us every day. You have to find some coping skills because if every time something bad happens, you're going to revert back to your criminal thinking and behaviors, you're not going to succeed. I'll be right back here. Why did you decline the Tier 4 program?
At the time, I was getting off methadone, and that was my very big goal for being here. I really wanted to be free of opiates. And for me, I was down to the last 20 milligrams, which is usually the most difficult. And it was far too overstimulating, the lights, the noise, the people. I didn't feel like I could do it safely in that environment.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate too, because I'm sure you know that Tier 4 is the best program they have there.
Yes, I do. I really did take advantage of Tier 2 though. And we have been working for over 4 months at this point, and I've really have learned quite a bit.
When did you finish the Tier 2 program?
We just signed our OAP completion certificates on Wednesday, and we get our certificate of completion on Monday.
Okay. How long was the program? When did you go into Tier 2?
On February 10th.
Right. So you get a ticket for carrying drugs while you're in the drug program.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Rodriguez.
I don't really have any questions, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
I think this is
Yeah.
tragic in her
It
case.
is. Very
An
sad.
opportunity and
Yeah.
I don't know.
We have 3 years of probation to follow. Hopefully that will, be utilized well. Ms. Palmieri, what are your thoughts about this case?
Thank you. So, Ms. Woods has, she's before us for a larceny 1. She scores low for risk to recidivate. She did do the programs that the prior panel had asked her to do. Normally we might try to work through the disciplinary report. I think this one is a little hard to do, you know, based on, as you pointed out, Madam Chair, that she was in the drug program when it occurred. Although, you know, she has managed to finish the program with that. So, you know, I was inclined to vote in the denial for granting discretionary parole, but if my colleagues have other information that we can lean to, I would be willing to reconsider. She does have 3 years of probation to follow, as you pointed out.
Yeah, I am not willing to grant, and you know, really, this should be a message for anyone listening. When you're given another opportunity at a parole rehear, you don't squander it, and you especially don't do that with spreading drugs through a community, a prison community that has serious addiction problems that we're trying to fight so people can successfully reintegrate. It's a no for me based on the nature and circumstance of the offense and poor institutional adjustment. Mr. Rodriguez?
Madam Chair, it's a no for me too. I think she should, if there was one opportunity for her to say no to doing something, it was this opportunity to say no to spraying these drugs in the facility.
In the matter of Abigail Wood, MA number 444082, I'll move to deny parole for the following reasons: the nature and circumstance of the offense, poor institutional adjustment as evidenced by the disciplinary reports. Is there anything further we'd like to add?
No.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's a unanimous decision. We wish you the best while you're on probation. Okay, she left the room.
You can't make it up. I feel like going back and reading through those comments again and just saying, wow, who's the expert now? But I'm not. That would be a sore winner thing to do. And it's sad to say so, but like, it was so obvious. It was so obvious to anyone without a PhD that she was not ready. And I loved how the parole board acted. It was quite interesting. The parole board was actually sounding kind of like how I sounded, how we sounded in the comment section, frustrated and disbelief and saying, how could you? And they didn't buy any of it. Oh, police, she's playing the victim card. And, you know, the crazy thing is she is getting out no matter what in just a couple of weeks, 12/8/2026. She will be walking amongst us. Wasn't it interesting how they thought it was insane this time that she would want to work in the same field? But no, Mandoo, what do you know? Of course she should be around the vulnerable. Can you not see? Can you not see? No, look, I'm not gonna change the hearts and minds of all the critics out there. I mean, maybe now, you know, I guess the interesting thing for the doctor that we had comment. I guess now the doctor would agree because the expert parole board members felt the same way. I guess that makes that makes Mandoo and the community that agree with Mandoo right. So now, doctor, you have to come out and say, I was wrong because the experts, the parole board, this time they don't think she should get parole. This time they think there is a risk that she work in the field with the elderly again. This time the parole board thinks that what she is doing is wrong. You know, I guess, doctor, you must concede. I'll wait for your comments. Oh my gosh. 6 days after that parole hearing, she went while in the narcotics program and smuggled in narcotics. I don't believe she's sober. I mean, I guess you'd have to assume they would have tested her after that. It's crazy. You know, in Louisiana, and I don't agree with this. It used to be 1 year you had to wait to have a parole hearing if you had a write-up. Now it's 3 years. I think 3 years is barbaric. It's just, you know, that's just not cool. But in here, you can get a write-up 6 days after your parole hearing and then still come up for parole. And for those of you curious, I guess I'm covering this late. This parole hearing happened June 20th. So, you know, all she was going for anyways was like 6 months, right? And I'm in Lady Holly's spreadsheet, and it's always whenever I go into Lady Holly's spreadsheet, it feels like we're here with Lady Holly again, although she's no longer here with us, is my understanding. I mean, that's not confirmation, but I think at this point we have to assume that's the case. So Abigail will be getting out on probation. It's not special parole, so we're not going to see her in a revocation. And this is the kind of for those of you who are saying, well, rehabilitation, oh, she's great. She went into prison. What were the comments? You went into prison. This is the not only, it's so that they can do better. You guys really think that she has the impulse control to not commit more crime, to not find more victims? You think probation is going to stop her from finding a little old lady who's needs help? There's no way. And yeah, I will predict, in my opinion, I'm not diagnosing anyone, I'm only speculating on a situation like this, as Dr. Grande says, that if there is one thing for certain, we will not see Miss Abigail again. I believe that that is the case. We will not see her again, perhaps these parole hearings, because it's not a revocation hearing. But we will see her again, probably in the news or something. She doesn't know how to, you're in prison and you steal a bra. You're in prison and you smuggle in narcotics. You're in prison when you do these things, when you can't impulsively control yourself. Someone like this will shoplift. They'll get caught doing something. My opinion. But there you go. There you have it. Now there are so many. There are dozens and dozens of hearings where we could do return ofs. Let me know how you want me to do them. If you want me to, I don't know, whatever you want me to read the comments. You guys like that? Let me know in the comment section. I have no way of knowing what you want unless you tell me, because this is a one-way conversation. I had fun reading the comments. I did, that was actually that was interesting. So let me know if you want me to do that more often. And I do have a couple. I have a revocation hearing of a man baby who we've covered. He's over for 2 years. We've been covering him coming back, and he just came back again another time. So we're gonna cover him soon. So it's a crazy one. Okay. Anyways, with that, I'll let you go.
They didn't see the changes in me, and I kind of, for lack of a better word, excuse my French, but I had a case of the fuckets, and I agreed to carry this package for someone, and I take a full accountability for that. But I've dealing with tier 2, I've really learned how to deal with negative emotions better, and I think in the past, of course, in active addiction, my first reaction would have been to use those. My contraband ticket was not for personal use. I want to make that clear. But I've learned about handling negative emotions, the rational emotive behavioral therapy, challenging irrational beliefs, learning about external, internal sensory triggers and how to diffuse them through thought stopping visualization and urge surfing. So the tier 2 program really has opened my eyes to some of the things that I was struggling with, and I feel really changed as a result.